Welcome to the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Monday, September 30th. Today we will see gusty winds a little bit further south into northern Utah and downwind of the Wasatch, and also up into parts of Wyoming. These winds will generally be gusting between about 25 and 35 miles per hour. Winds will decrease Tuesday before increasing again as another weak front approaches the north on Wednesday. Otherwise, warm and dry conditions will continue across the Great Basin with above normal temperatures across Nevada and Utah and near normal temperatures up north. However, relative humidity will still remain low. Over the last 24 hours, we only saw a few isolated thunderstorms in Utah with limited amounts of precipitation. Yesterday, there were 4 fires for over 300 acres reported. However, we did have significant growth on some of our large fires, especially up in Wyoming. Over the last 7 to 14 days, we've seen dry conditions this last week across the Great Basin. And over the last 14 days, the only precipitation was in parts of northwest Nevada up into parts of Idaho. Currently, our ERCs continue to climb across the Great Basin with this warm and dry weather we have in place and have had seen over this last week. We are seeing ERCs over the 80th or even 90th percentile in a few spots across Utah and southern and eastern Nevada and along the Sierra Front, also up north into Wyoming. These ERCs will continue to rise and are well above normal for the time of year. Some areas will be approaching historical maximums for the time of year. Currently, looking at our ERC charts, you can see the dramatic rise in ERCs across all areas, and we are seeing those ERCs over the next 7 days up in western Wyoming reach above the 80th percentile, and similar conditions up in northern Utah. Both areas we do have current large fires. However, looking at some of our 100-hour fuel moisture, these fuel moistures are exceptionally low for the time of year and are either at or will be reaching historical maximums for the time of year. So we are seeing significant dryness in our dead fuel moistures, and even some areas still the live fuel moistures. Currently, our satellite image shows a broad ridge of high pressure over the southern tier of the western U.S. We are seeing systems move by to the north. Yesterday, we did have quite a bit of wind up north with the system tracking off to the east now into the northern Rockies and the northern plains. So we will see a decrease in wind today, but we will see another front approaching the north in the next couple of days. Otherwise, sunny skies and warm and dry conditions. The smoke forecast for today, you can see as those westerly winds and south or west to northwest winds push those smoke plumes off to the east and south. You can see that in the north. And then tomorrow we will see more of a west or west-southwest wind across the north and into northern Utah. So for later today, again, that ridge builds in. We will see those west to northwest downslope winds, especially in the northern Wasatch and into northeast Utah. So we do have high risk, especially since we do have the large fire in northern Utah. Otherwise, low to moderate fire potential across the Great Basin. Relative humidity will remain quite low over the north and western areas of the basin, with single digits across Nevada and low to mid-teens across Idaho into Wyoming and even eastern Utah. You can see those gusty winds today generally downslope of the Utah mountains. Otherwise, lighter winds expected today, but we will see some moderate winds in Wyoming, and we are still expecting growth on our large fires up north. Temperatures today will be near or even just below normal in the north as that front moves off to the east, but still remain near to above normal across Nevada and Utah, although we will see a little bit of cooling in northern Utah today. Otherwise, dry conditions are expected. By Tuesday, we will see again the next few systems moving across Canada, and this will increase our winds a bit in the north tomorrow, but for the most part will remain up into the northern Rockies, so we don't have any high risk, but could see a few late afternoon breezes over in western Wyoming, so that will certainly be an impact for the fire over there. Otherwise, drier conditions and lighter winds down south with low to moderate fire potential. On Tuesday, still a lot of those single digits, low teens, relative humidities spread across the Great Basin. Wind gusts, again, will pick up a bit in central Idaho and over into Wyoming, but most of those gusts will be in the 25 to 30 mile per hour range and generally briefly during the late afternoon. Temperatures will be on the rise over western Nevada and still remain kind of near normal in Idaho, Wyoming, and northern Utah, with dry conditions expected again. On Wednesday, we will see winds start to increase again in the north as fronts pass by to the north, so we will see high risk again in parts of central and eastern Idaho and western Wyoming for that increase in winds. Otherwise, drier conditions and warmer conditions down south. And relative humidity remains in the single digits across much of Nevada and Utah. Does increase a bit with some cooler temperatures as that front approaches and the winds increase in Idaho and Wyoming on Wednesday, but still we'll be seeing those mid to upper teens and right around 20% for some relative humidity. And again, with that increase in winds, still expecting critical conditions, especially over western Wyoming, where those winds will be gusting over 35 or even some areas approaching 40 miles per hour. On Wednesday, we will see again those temperatures a bit cooler in the north, otherwise warmer and drier down south. And no precipitation expected for the next 3 days. As we move into later in the week, the ridge continues to build, so we will see the winds start to decrease on Thursday, but warmer and drier conditions, so we don't have any high risk, but a lot of moderate risk of significant fire potential across the basin with these warmer and drier conditions. This continues on Friday and going into Saturday, although on Saturday we will have another front approaching the northwest, so we could see winds kick up a bit, maybe even some cloud cover and some light shower activity, so especially across Idaho. Right now, precipitation is looking very light and limited, so we'll continue to watch that to see if there are any changes, but at least maybe some cloud cover would be beneficial. But again, we could see an increase in winds going into Saturday and Sunday, but right now not issuing high risk for this event. We'll see if these winds come in a little bit stronger, but otherwise still dry conditions anticipated. So no precipitation on the 7-day. You can see a few spits of showers here in northwest Wyoming. This is mainly for that system coming in this weekend, so could see a few light showers, but right now we're not expecting any significant wetting rains. The 8 to 14-day outlook is really not much better for the western or for the Great Basin or the West as a whole. We are still looking for well above normal temperatures and drier conditions, so not really anticipating any relief for our fire potential or our current large fires across the Great Basin in the next couple weeks. That concludes our webcast for today. Check back tomorrow for the latest updates.